Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the So I Heard podcast. If you guys are new to this, I'm KD. Hopefully you guys are having a good one. We're going to get into a topic today that I feel is very interesting. Something that I often think about like a lot, and it has something to do with where most of the content for this podcast comes from. One thing for sure is most of this content just comes from me seeing topics online, whether in like social media, websites, or whatever, but mainly social media. So the topic today is going to be about social media and how I feel social media has changed people. I think some people feel like social media doesn't really change people. I feel like some people are constantly like, this is who I am. And yeah, I feel like you can be giving social media so much of your official self, but at the same time, social media interactions and things are different. One thing that I noticed a lot about people that love or kind of rely on social media is the fact that normally a lot of times in their actual lives, it's not ever that entertaining. And of course, social media is there for you to basically share these important moments, as you want to. But at the same time, it gives this illusion that your life is greater and more fun and more, entertaining than what it actually is. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I remember somebody said one time in this interview that social media was made to have everyone feel like some sort of celebrity, kind of. You basically build your fame through your social media. Now we look at it and we're like, there's a lot of people that are on social media that are celebrities and they're followed and they have millions of followers or subscribers or whatever. And we're like, oh, okay, because they're known. But there is a lot of people that are just regular ass people. They post interesting stuff. They look good. People come to their channel to see more of what they offer. Now, building yourself in that way and being like, all right, cool. Social media is something where I can be who, like it's like a fantasy in a way. And I don't have a problem with social media being that. But social media does change people. And of course, I don't want this to be like, oh, it seems like it just changes people for the negative. It's good. I love how, okay, here's one example that I'm going to give, right? Twitter. Everything happens on Twitter first. So the example I'm going to give is years back. Like when I first joined Twitter, this was like the best part of Twitter for me because, I don't know, it was so many people I was interacting with. Like I built friendships with people on Twitter and we became friends in real life and hung out and all this different type of stuff. But these days on Twitter, it's a little bit different. Well, one, I'm not really looking for that, you know what I mean? I wasn't looking for it before, but it just kind of happened. But yeah, it's a little bit different. Like I interact with people differently than I did back then, kind of. You get older and you mature and stuff changes. And, one thing for sure is that back then Twitter was really like, people crack jokes on Twitter now. People get roasted on Twitter and stuff now like they always have. But with Twitter, and I think it was also the times, right? On Twitter, almost anything happened. That's why you see so many of these celebrities and other people just getting caught up for stuff that they said in the past on Twitter. Twitter was really unfiltered. Now, since online bullying or some other stuff, has the awareness is bigger than what it was then. Now people are kind of scared to tweet certain stuff. Back in the day, people were getting roasted like crazy. Like now people are like get roasted, a little bit and they'll block whoever's roasting them. Back then they were roasting people to the point where people were just deleting their full account. And now, it all makes sense. What was going on Twitter back then? Why are these people getting caught up for so much stuff now for tweets back then? Things were, a little bit different. Now, I'm not talking about like the crazy tweets that'll forever be called crazy, but I'm saying like just as far as like roasting, joking, and just saying whatever you wanted to say. That time is done on Twitter. Well, not done, because it still happens. I think Twitter, as far as social media, is one of the more free sites. Facebook, or you have Instagram and stuff, you can't post whatever you want on there. Twitter is probably that last place. Even with the blog type social media site Tumblr. Tumblr is still around today. But back in the day, Tumblr was able to post everything. They weren't filtering nothing. Now, you had an option to filter your timeline on Tumblr, but still, you was able to find everything on Tumblr. And now they wanted to make it to be more family friendly, so you can't put any explicit stuff at all. One thing that I did notice, and this is the point I was trying to get to, is like how Twitter was back then and how people were getting roasted. I remember back then, it was some people that really didn't look weird. They would post a picture of themselves, and almost immediately they're sitting there getting roasted. It was going for women too, like almost everybody. Now, people still do get roasted on Twitter, but bruh, back then it was crazy. And I remember I tweeted that maybe like a year or so ago, and somebody was like, man, for real. They was like, people were scared to post their picture on Twitter back then because people were just saying anything. You know, I've seen some people get destroyed after posting the picture. And they used to play this game where they would go around and like rate people's pictures and stuff. Man, I really used to sit there and look at dudes like, bro, I don't even know why you entered your picture. These women are ruthless when it came to talking about dudes. Like, man, to the point where bruh's like in a full argument just because chicks saying he looked funny. Like, it's like, yo, my man is crying at the house right now. And I'm not even going to lie, I do miss that time, that time with Twitter. Because I remember everybody I was really cool with on Twitter, dude, most of them, they don't even have a Twitter no more. They deleted their Twitter years ago. But we used to just be on there cracking jokes. Cracking jokes. And I still crack jokes, but it's a little bit different. My humor sometimes can get to a point where it's like a little bit like I don't know. It's kind of weird when people say dark humor, because immediately you kind of think about it and be like, oh man, he talking about some evil shit. You know, maybe at times like, you know, like a little bit of dark humor, but like, you know, like mature humor. I don't really filter my humor when it comes to like telling jokes or cracking jokes with people and everything. It's like, dude, it's just a part of my personality. Like I know how to laugh at certain stuff and not be so serious about all these different, you know, topics or things. So back then it was ruthless in a way to people that just were not prepared for that. And then I remember when online bullying really became a thing, when Kim Kardashian was all into it and everything. And I would be like, damn, like, yo, just log off. And people were like, oh, that's messed up. You can't just tell people to log off because they're being bullied. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, why are you really letting this affect your life so much? Like, you don't have to be on social media. And I understand sometimes with online bullying, like, it leads outside of social media and to other things that you can't really avoid. But that's what I'm saying. Like, back in the day with more traditional bullying, it's like, yo, kids being bullied in school, you have to go to school. Like, you can't just say, nah, I'm not going to school. It's harder to dodge the traditional type of bullying than it is with, oh, okay, well, let me just log off and not come back. Or maybe, you know what I mean, this is my time to get off of social media, and then I'll come back later on after stuff dies down, because stuff dies down on social media quickly. People don't forget, but still, I don't know. It changed stuff so much. And what I'm noticing now with Twitter is like a lot of the people that I feel like weren't really popular back then on Twitter are kind of popular now. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. That's good. Through life, one thing that I've always been proud about with my life is I've always been cool with different groups of people. That went from elementary school to middle school, to high school, to even like, you know, being an adult now. I get along with a bunch of different groups of people. So that's good when I see that, oh, okay, it's y'all time and everything. The reference that I was going to make, it reminds me of the movie 21 Jump Street, when they go back to high school and all of the people that were the weird people back in the day are now the popular people. You know what I'm saying? Like a thing I was thinking about earlier, right, is a lot of people on Twitter, they talk about anime. And the majority of the people that I see that do talk about anime on Twitter are black people. And if you guys aren't familiar with anime, you know what I mean. I just got to go through the explanation. But it is like these Japanese cartoons, most of them were based off of comic books or anything, something like that. You know, like how we have like Superman and X-Men and, you know, Marvel and all that different stuff. These are like animated shows. So they're cartoons, and just because I say cartoons, it doesn't mean that they're just for kids. A lot of them aren't for kids at all. So yeah, they're more like mature type of cartoons and stuff. There's guys on Twitter that I see, right? And it's these guys that act like they're so cool. And they're like, oh man, you guys playing video games, you guys watching anime, man, that's loser stuff. But then you look at these guys and you're like, yo, these are the guys that go around harassing women all day, asking for hugs and just flirting when the shit isn't wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh, okay, you sound like, you know, you're trying to make it sound like everybody that does this other stuff isn't cool or won't be accepted. But it's like, bro, you're out here and you're in real life acting like a straight up weirdo. So now seeing a lot of, and I'm saying like a lot of the black people that I follow on Twitter are like women, and these women love anime. They're constantly talking. It's not like they're just being pulled into these conversations of anime. It's like they're just openly talking about anime, right? And back then on Twitter, if chicks were talking about anime, like they were getting roasted. People were gonna be like, what? Like me, I've always liked the stuff that I always liked. Most of the stuff that I like as an adult, I liked when I was a kid. I still watch anime. I still watch Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. I'm still into video games, all that different stuff. I don't think I really changed like that. I didn't let social media get me to the point where now I'm trying to be somebody else. And that leads into another thing where I feel like a lot of people go on social media and get to a point where they start to question who they are. I always say this, one of the worst things about social media is comparison. People spend so much time on social media daily that they start to compare their lives to what they see, and not just celebrities. They'll see other stuff that people have that maybe they want, and then they'll, you know what I mean? I have to have that in my life. And then, of course, they put the time on it, so they feel like they have to have it immediately. Letting social media get you to that point, I think, is dangerous. I think it's dangerous because now you're trying to, and I mean, I guess it's a part of like growing up and everything, because when you're a kid, you start to break off from pieces of who you're around, your surroundings, family, just all that stuff. You know, it goes into your personality, your likes, and all that different stuff. And that molds you into who you are. But at the same time, you notice the difference now where people are kind of copying people in a way. It's like you have almost every young chick these days walking around acting like they're a city girl or something. Like a lot of them are acting that way. And I'm not just saying women. It's guys out here acting certain ways because of social media and different stuff. And it's like, whoa, it's like a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy. And one thing that I think about is like, I'm happy I was part of a time where we know what it was like before social media. I can't imagine being a kid that's like, 12 years old right now, where social media has always been around and you really treat it like that's your life. I like social media. And let's go back to some history, right? So I've always had some sort of social media since I was a teenager. Back in the day, it was MySpace. You had a MySpace page. They had Black Planet. That was that was a social media thing too. So those were two things I had way back then. And then it led to, Facebook. But Facebook is a little bit different these days, man. Facebook at a point was unfiltered as well. And I'm going to say this, and I don't want nobody to get offended or whatever, but Facebook now is like the social media that we let the older people have. It got to the point now where it's like everybody's aunts, uncles, grandmas, moms, and dads are all on there. So a lot of people I know that do have Facebook, they're limited with how they post, because it's like, oh man, the Facebook posts always lead to the family drama, because it's like somebody snitching on you or something like that. So you're not posting nothing on on Facebook. But then when we get to the people that don't have social media, that don't have a Facebook, I always end up asking them, I'm like, why you get rid of your Facebook? And their reason is always like, man, I got family on there now. My parents, my aunts and uncles, and They all got Facebook. I can't even enjoy it the way I want to enjoy it. And that's really what happened, bro. I'm telling you, like, the only reason I have a Facebook is because, like, yeah, there's people that I know personally on there or whatever. It is a good way to keep in touch because almost everybody has one, kind of. It's just so funny thinking about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I were to go say that to an older person, what I just said about Facebook, they'll be like, oh, what? Y'all don't want to be on Facebook because of us? And it's like, yo, no. I mean, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe y'all shouldn't be so gossipy with everybody's information. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that literally get on Facebook and barely post, but they're constantly in everybody else's business. And that's on every bit of social media, of course, because you're putting your business out there. But with Facebook, I have to say it's because of the older generation. The older generation, I feel like, just constantly needs something to talk about. And a lot of times that messy behavior, you know, the young people are doing it too, but at the same time, I feel like on other social media, it's not as bad as Facebook. Like, Facebook is man, people literally say that. People literally be like, yo, don't post nothing on Facebook. Don't post nothing on Facebook. I see people post memes that say stuff like, you can't post nothing on Facebook because it's going to end up being like some type of drama or something, like, or something. Even if the post isn't directly drama, somebody's going to tell certain business. But then at the same time, I guess it does make sense to say, well, just don't post that stuff on social media. A lot of my Twitter stuff, like, I would never post that on on Facebook. Like, you know what I'm saying? Twitter is more unfiltered. You can kind of say whatever without having to be questioned. My cousin, he posted something on his Facebook. It was just a joke. Dude, out of nowhere, my aunt was like, why would you post this? And like asking a whole bunch of questions about the post. And it's like, bro, like, not to be messed up, but that's why a lot of people end up blocking family members. A lot of people block their family members. And then they always say it always gets awkward at like family gatherings because they're like, hey, am I blocked on your Facebook? It's like, damn, like, I can't even lie about it. Like, yeah, you are. You be doing too much on there, you know? Let's go back to comparison. People comparing in social media really has a lot of people's minds warped. Think about it like in a real life, like at school or something like that. And you see kids that are easily influenced. Everybody wants to be part of the cool group, or, you know, you might view whatever cool is, you might view it differently. So your group might be cool. But you know what I mean? Like, school is really about levels of popularity, kind of. It's something that is valued. If you're known, you're considered, you know, the shit. So people do that in online stuff also. One thing for sure that I noticed that changed, and again, this isn't just about women, when OnlyFans first came out, I heard so many women talking about OnlyFans and women that did OnlyFans, and OnlyFans wasn't the first thing that was like this. Like, they have other little sites where you can do webcam stuff and be on there naked and all that different type of stuff. And it's not saying that everybody's OnlyFans is them really being naked, you know what I mean? They might take like some actual modeling type pictures that aren't as revealing, but a lot of people have pretty much turned their OnlyFans into something where they're sharing nude content, whether it be pictures, whether it be videos, or even there's some people on OnlyFans that are really recording themselves having sex. When it first came out, seeing so many women, no, I would never do that. I would never degrade myself. I would never do this. I would never do that. They were judging so many people that were doing OnlyFans. I was a person that was doing that too. I was a person that was for sure doing that. I was a person that was like, man, y'all need to leave this OnlyFans stuff alone. Like, but that was because I was remembering what everybody was saying. Like, I would never do this. I would never do this. Once people started realizing how much money some of these people were making, they threw their morals out the door. That shit was out. And you can be like, oh, okay, because it's like a hustle, you know, you're getting your money. But in a lot of ways for people, it's like, nah, I ain't gonna step on my morals. I'm gonna keep those morals there. I'm gonna get the money a different way. It's women that I used to see, they used to post their children on social media. Now it's like everything they post is them promoting their OnlyFans. I mean, but that's life. People are trying to get to the money, so they're doing it by any means. But at the same time, you let that influence you. You seen what these celebrities ended up getting into and them being, you know, the top percent or whatever on OnlyFans and raking in all this money, and it's like you want to do it too. Same thing as like you see these celebrities go out and buy these designer items that are really ugly as hell, but since the celebrity has it, you want to wear it because it gives you a status level. And it's like, bro, that shit is ugly. If it was made by any other designer that was not that poppin', you wouldn't even think to wear it. You would be roasting it, in fact. Another thing, recently, a lot of celebrities have shown themselves wearing Crocs lately. Nicki Minaj showed herself wearing Crocs. Now everybody's buying Crocs. And at that moment, like for me, I'm like, dude, is this just people living? Like, or is this, to me, I feel like it is a form of mental illness. The fact that as soon as somebody does something, somebody that's known, you immediately want to go run and do it. Like, that's immediately what you want to go do. You look at social media and stupid stuff from the past. There used to be fools that literally used to put like alcohol on their body, and then they would just like light their body on fire just because a viral video happened like that. Like, what? Why would you just set yourself on fire? Like, that's the most idiotic thing ever. Our most natural thought process that we have is like our nature. Our natural shit, our animalistic survival mindset. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you're willingly throwing yourself on fire in hopes to become a viral video is crazy. Donald Trump's weird ass had people sitting here drinking bleach. Why? And one thing that I guess is good about social media is that it really broadened your awareness, right? Before, when social media wasn't that big, you didn't even know some of these type of people existed. But now that it's happening and it's popping and it's everywhere, you see some weird stuff and it's like, damn, like, dude, it's happening like on a daily. I follow a couple of pages on my Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and I hear about some of the weirdest stuff, some crazy stuff. And immediately it makes you think like, all right, well, these people have always been here. You know what I mean? It's always been people that have been this crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then some people get mad at that because they're like, oh, well, it's desensitizing people. And yeah, it probably is. But the way that I view it is like it's informative. Because let's be honest, like, you can go and read a newspaper, you can go and watch the news, but those are like publications that are kind of like watched. They're not posting every single thing. That's why some of this stuff seems like it gets swept under the rug and then you hear about it from somewhere else. So I feel like it is very informative, and yeah, it could be desensitizing people at the same time, but is that not reality? It's really happening. And yeah, I'm not saying go and show it to children. Here's one thing that I feel is different, and this might be like a bad topic, but it's a topic, right? So we look at I'm looking at from our country, right? Our country hasn't really gave people a lot of rights. You know what I mean? This stuff is new. We can look at our parents and be like, all right, they remember a time where not everybody had rights. You know what I mean? They weren't listening to everybody. They weren't taking everybody seriously. They were treating people like dirt. And we can look at our parents and they remember that time. Shoot, in our lives, we can remember that certain parts of that time. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have become more open and accepted and different stuff like that. Like people basically being like, all right, well, you living your life, live your life. And that's great. But at the same time, where we'll say a lot of stuff is desensitizing people these days, there's other things that are kind of being pushed on people these days. And when it's questioned, it's like, oh, is that hate? And it's like, no, it's not really hate. It's just this is accepted, but certain stuff that we feel like is more important should really be more accepted because that's reality. And I'm not really trying to get into like what it is. Like you know, like I said, you don't have to sit there and show people being killed on videos or like just different stuff, but some of this stuff is reality, bro. I feel like a lot should still be unfiltered these days because it does get to the point where it feels like some people are made to be more soft. Like these days, it's like you don't want kids to be desensitized, but you want them to understand the realities of the world. But at the same time, it's like, oh, we're kind of guarding them. All right, I'll say what I was going to say earlier. One thing that has changed a lot in this country is dealing with homosexual stuff, right? Or like, and it's like, dude, that's good. I'm not saying that shouldn't be accepted at all. I'm not saying that at all. It should definitely be accepted, and the way that I treat it is like, yo, live your life. If that's what makes you totally happy, why the fuck should I sit there and try to stop you from doing it? I'm not even going on a rant to be like, when people be like, oh man, but God doesn't want that to happen. That's not my business. That's you and God's business. That's not my business. That's your life to live. Live it as happy as you can be. Because there's people out here that'll preach that stuff and be out here doing way worse stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I honestly don't care what people do in their lives. But one thing I will say is, like, there are people that complain about how open it is, right? They have cartoons now where this stuff is represented. A show that I love and it's funny as hell, Loud House. It comes on Nickelodeon. It's a cartoon. And this one boy has two dads. And I know a lot of people had issues with that. But not just that show. It's like, it's a lot of different things. And I'm not saying sweep it under the rug. I'm not saying try to hide it or nothing like that. Like I said, live your lives. But I feel like if that can be accepted, other stuff should be able to be accepted as well in the world. Because it is all considered reality. If I try to sit there and if I'm a person that's a homophobe and I'm just going around trying to avoid, gay people or lesbians or anybody, that's so far out of reality. You can't go through life thinking you're dodging everybody and you're just, so they're people just like you. You know what I'm saying? But there's some people that still live like that. And what I'm saying with that is like, dude, if we're gonna have stuff be reality and be like, yo, this is the real world, we got to be more open with stuff. We can't sit there and try to censor every fucking thing. We have a group of soccer moms complaining about a show, and then now they're talking about they got to cancel the show when it has tons of viewers. Some of this stuff, I be like, yo, like, there's been a lot of offensive stuff that has gone on over the years, and I get it. Like, that's why some of the stuff is being removed now, because it's finally getting brought to light and everything. But I feel like, bro, to keep life realistic, like, okay, all right, so let's put it this way. Me in my life, going through life, I've never really dealt with any racial shit that happened to me personally. I never had somebody of a different race mad at me and calling me the N-word or nothing like that. I've never had somebody hate me and be like, oh, you black, and like, I've never had that, right? But I definitely understand it. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be something that's sheltered, and not just because not just of racial things, but a lot of things. And I feel like the people that haven't went through it, that were constantly sheltered from it, when it happens, bro, they don't know how to deal with life. And it's because you weren't allowed to and I'm not saying allowed to experience racism, like you're going out and looking for it, but I'm saying you don't know how to deal with these situations. I feel like everything should be more open, and I get it, like, some people take offense to it, but at the same time, I feel like sometimes when some of these things are expressed, it's like, nah, you can't do that. The internet is a tricky place. Social media is a tricky place. There's crazy drama and all kind of shit that's posted on social media, and for some reason, it's accepted. Like, shit we don't need to see. It ain't our business. You feel me? It gets focused on so much, and it's like, bro, what? But then it's like, some people get offended by it. Some people are like, no, it needs to be out there. And like I said, I want stuff to be very informative. If it's reality, it's reality. The only thing that I feel like we should really be guarding from that reality is children. We should guard children from that stuff, but not like to the point where we're just making these kids like super naive and all this different stuff, but like still, you know what I mean? Let them get that when they're a little bit older. But as far as adults that go around and get so offended by almost everything, and it's like, bro, we live in a world where a lot of shit is offensive. Almost everybody's dealing with offensive stuff. And I'm not saying we just have to sit there and take it, but we have to view stuff in a certain way. That's like if we get into the conversation of racism. I think all of us will honestly say that we want racism to be gone. But me thinking realistically, I'm like, yo, that's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. There's people that pass down that mindset to their kids over something stupid. It could be a white dude. His wife left him for a black dude, and now he's telling the kids how bad black people are. All kind of stupid stuff. There's people that grew up in a racist household, and it took for them to become an adult to be like, why am I hating these people? These people did nothing to me. Oh, somebody did something like a few hundred years ago in their country, and our country is beefing, but is that what this person did? These people that are here right now? The beef goes on too much, man, and a lot of it is made online. I'm not saying like the problems that these countries are having and like, with wars that they've been having for long ass periods of time, but I'm saying like, A lot of this stuff happens online, and it's a place where we communicate so much, but a lot of these issues are for miscommunication. Social media is a fun place, but social media can be a dangerous place. Mentally, you have to be prepared for what's coming. You can't sit there and be offended by everything. There's stuff you can not like, definitely, but don't let it tear you up so much. By getting onto social media, you are now open to being judged. Even if people don't say it directly to you, they could be judging your stuff. One thing that's weird about me, I don't ever think about people that think about me. It's strange, but I'm not constantly like, oh man, hey, y'all thinking about me? Like, with some people that really think that way. They think people constantly got them on their mind. It's like, nah, I don't ever think that. I'm like, why would y'all be thinking about me? What did I do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, real stuff. But be prepared for social media, man. Don't let social media run you. Be your own person. Don't let social media tell you that the stuff that you like isn't cool. If you like it, you like it. Don't let these weirdos be out here trying to tell you this, and this, because they got skeletons in their closet, or they out here doing other weird stuff. Just because they ain't liking what you like, they like some other stuff too, and it might not always be some good stuff. You got to be your own person, man. Don't let social media comparisons tear you down and make you think that your life is less than what it is. It's funny because I start to notice that most of these topics that I talk about do end up leading to one of my topics, which was positivity. And I still feel like the positivity episode was my favorite one. And there's a reason. Like I said, all of these things are leading to living life more positive. Don't let social media tell you who the hell you should be. If you like certain things and it's like they're good and positive and you want to adopt that mindset, you might hear something like this where somebody's trying to get you to be uplifted and in better spirits and stuff like that. That's something you can adopt. But all these other little shallow ass reasons and things, no, that's crazy. Do stuff that's going to make you a better person. And I mean like an actual better person, not just you seeming like one because you're trying to throw up this persona for social media. Be the real you. Be a cool person. Be somebody that is looked at a certain way where people admire. I don't even know why I said admire like that. Admire who you are. They like you. They cherish you. They're thankful for you. Don't let social media be something that gives you this crazy ego where you're acting like you're above everybody else. Because it can be taken. Be humble with your stuff, man. You can be out here with a crazy amount of followers or subscribers or whatever, man. But, dude, there's a lot of people that were on top of the hill that got taken off. And then when they get back to that point, that low point, they sitting here wondering why nobody want to mess with them again. Social media can mold you, but it can mold you in a bad way. So don't let it mold you in a bad way. Be you and be real. Know who you are. Hopefully you guys like this episode, man. And if you guys like this episode, please let me know through, any of my social media stuff that I leave down below. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my YouTube channel. Thank you for listening. You guys stay dope, and I will check you out later. Peace.